Good luck, have fun, don't die. My friend Julie Edwards, the photographer, has been at Berlin because I'm just back from Berlin. And she said that the maddest red carpet event that she did was the Berlin screening of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Stars of that film include Sam Rockwell, Haley Lee Richardson, Michael Pena, Zazie Beetz, Asim Chowdhury, Tom Taylor, and Juno Temple. And when they did the photo call on the carpet, they were doing kung fu kicks, and the pictures are really, really great. So it looks like it was a kind of a terrific premiere. It's written by Matthew Robinson, who wrote and directed the flawed but quite interesting Ricky Gervais comedy, The Invention of Lying. And it's directed by Gore Verbinski. Now, Gore Verbinski is best known as the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. He also helmed I didn't like the American remake of The Ring. He did the high concept Western flop, The Lone Ranger, featuring the now particularly unfortunate pairing of Johnny Depp and celebrity cannibal Armie Hammer.
Wow.
Yeah, that didn't age well.
No.
And the psychological horror flop, A Cure for Wellness, hello to Jason Isaacs, of which the whole thing about it was that, it did very badly, but it was a thing where you kept waiting for the twist. Then you realize that the twist was that there wasn't a twist. Weirdly, however, Gore Verbinski also did the award-winning animated feature Rango, so maybe he ought to be sticking with animations. This is his best live-action film, although that is a low bar, as you can tell from the films I've just mentioned. So here's the setup. Norm's Diner in LA, 10:10. Everyone is glued to their mobile phones. No one is doing anything other than looking at their mobile phones. Suddenly, Sam Rockwell bursts in, dressed from head to foot in a mix of plastic and wires, holding what appears to be a trigger device and looking like he's got an explosive vest. He says, "This isn't a robbery. I'm from the future, and everything is about to go really, really wrong thanks to everyone's addiction to screen time and the arrival of AI. He has been here before. This apparently is his 117th attempt to assemble the right group of patrons from this particular diner to start the revolution and head off the disastrous future that he has come from. But the chances are most of the people he chooses will die in the attempt." Here's a clip from the trailer.
There's some that's about to come down that I can't prepare you for. It's gonna try to give you everything you ever wanted. But in the end, it will all be a lie. Are any of you even listening to me?
I traveled here today to tell you that things do not go well for you in the future.
But tonight we got a shot. There's a perfect configuration of people in this diner that can save humanity.
What happens if we fail?
I really don't like to say it out loud. It's kind of a morale killer.
So the group,
that's intriguing. I
yeah,
think.
exactly. It's a good setup. So the group that he assembles includes Ingrid, who is a sort of depressed young woman who appears to have an allergy to the modern world, to the internet and to phones. You've got a couple of teachers whose pupils have all become addicted to their mobile phones and who are now passing apparently advertorial messages between each other and behaving like mindless zombies. And then you've got a character played by Juno Temple, who is a grieving mother whose son has been cloned after a school shooting and is now spouting smiley messages from our sponsors. Other hot button topics included in the script have the blithe acceptance of school shootings as simply routine and the ruining of real life relationships through the arrival of VR headsets. So the trailer sells this as being from, quote, a completely unhinged Gore Verbinski. And the film wants to feel unhinged. And I think the budget is only around about $20 million. Consider that The Lone Ranger cost $250 million and was a huge flop, incidentally. So it has certainly got the right to claim that it's got a bit of, indie anarchy about its spirit. However, despite the promisingness of the premise, despite the fact that I like a lot of members of the cast, and it sounds like, it's wild and crazy, completely unhinged, I think, honestly, completely unoriginal would be more honest, because although it's fun and there are things in it that are passingly fun, it's nothing like as anarchic and out there as it wants you to believe. In fact, all the unhinged, in inverted commas, ideas in it have all been thoroughly road tested elsewhere in a string of films and TV shows. So most obviously, the idea of social media turning everyone into zombies, and AI being about to destroy the world, is a subject that's been discussed in, well, pretty much every film, television show, radio show, podcast. I remember was it 2 years ago when the Mission Impossible, the AI was the bug, and you said, well, this is it. We're suddenly going to get a wave of movies about the evils of AI. Do you remember saying that? It was like 2 years back.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's kind of done. The idea of the Sam Rockwell character coming back from the future back to change the present and therefore, change the past and therefore save the future. Okay, so that's lifted to some extent from the Terminator, also very clearly in this case from 12 Monkeys. And the design of this owes such a lot to 12 Monkeys. The suit that Sam Rockwell's wearing could have come straight off the set of 12 Monkeys. In fact, one of the posters for the film is clearly an homage to the one sheet of the Brazil poster. So there is a lot of Terry Gilliam in this. There is an awful lot of Terry Gilliam in this. The thing about having a character who's allergic to phones and the internet, again, is very reminiscent of one of the key plot strands from Better Call Saul, which was way, way back, in which Chuck, the brother of Saul or Jimmy, has this electromagnetic hypersensitivity. And there's the whole thing about, is it real or is it actually just, is it psychosomatic? The story of the child brought back and and saved from death, who now is producing advertorial content, owes a huge debt to that. Well, there's a couple of Black Mirror episodes. There's Be Right Back from season 2, in which there's and you can interact with a deceased person through AI, and there's also actually more recent in I think it was series 7, that one, Common People, in which somebody has a brain implant that connects them to an internet server, and in order to keep paying for the thing to work, they turn into somebody reciting advertorial content. There's also a huge amount of post-Matrix, is this real or is this Memorex stuff going on? There is a long-standing archival debt to Cronenberg's Videodrome and more recently Spielberg's Ready Player One in terms of the virtual reality setup. There are some scary animated toys that I thought literally one of them has walked off the set of Toy Story. Most significantly, there is a very unhealthy dose of Everything Everywhere All at Once, the success of which probably explains why this exists now. Because you can almost imagine the pitch meeting in which they said, okay, well, look what happened with Everything Everywhere All at Once. We're going to make Everything Everywhere All at Twice. But Tish, thank you. I was very proud of that joke. And if they didn't,
can you say it again, please?
Yes.
Because I think it's worth repeating.
Look at the success of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to make Everything Everywhere All at Twice.
Boom.
Thank you.
Excellent.
And as I said, if they didn't use that pitch in the sales meeting, they really should have done. Now, none of that is to say that it isn't fun. There is stuff in it that's fun. I like Sam Rockwell. I like some of the ideas. However, it is an 89-minute movie squeezed into 135 minutes, many of which should have been lost in the end. Because the fact is that Verbinski has never done, brevity or subtlety ever. It's not surprising to learn that this actually began life many, many years ago as a 26-page TV pilot that then ran out of steam, but was then revived as a feature idea, which then languished in development until, and this I read in an interview, I think it was in Deadline, the producer told Deadline that somebody said it's really reached a point where Matt said, unless we make this now, the time is actually going to pass us by. I think the time has passed you by, and I think this is passing fun, but it's not as good as any of the things that it reminded me of, that it rips off. It's not. It is a very corporate idea of what an anarchic production looks like, and the last 25 minutes of it are just hogwash.